Good morning. Welcome to Friday, Coffee and a Card. And I am excited to be with you today. I know we missed last week because I was in Disney World. Let me switch my screen around. And many of you might have known that I earned the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip, which was earned by about 369 demonstrators, I think, worldwide out of like 44,000. So that's less than 1% earn this trip. So that's a required disclaimer that Stampin' Up! Wants us to say that this is a lot of hard work to earn this trip. And it's not a given that just because you're demonstrating, you're going to earn the trip. So I am very honored to have been able to go on this trip. This is my third incentive trip, and it's because of people like you who are my customers, my stamping friends, and my followers that keep me going and keeping me loving what I do. So I really, really appreciate all that you do and the circle of friendships that we've developed. And it really makes it all fun and all worthwhile. So thank you for everything that you do. So if you are just joining in, please say hello and good morning to everybody. And if you'd like to say where you're from, that's always fun as well. So let me move that out of the way for now. So welcome. I am Lorraine Sish, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from the Baltimore area of Maryland. And we are here to do coffee and a card. Let me grab my mug. I happen to have tea today, and I have my Life is Good mug because it is. Life is good. I do have my daisy on here to represent my Daisy Bunch team. In fact, I'm wearing a shirt that Stampin' Up! Gave us to commemorate the trip. The images are reminiscent of those that you see at the Grand Floridian, and that's where we got to stay. So I just love this. It sort of has a turn of the century vibe to it. Very grand, as it says, white buildings and red accents, red roofs, and the decor was sort of these colors, and it had a very Mary Poppins kind of a flair to it. A lot of the icons had the umbrella or the little lace-up boots, penguins. There is a chandelier in the room that had a lot of birds around it and a couple of glass, see-through glass. And so it reminded me of the Feed the Birds. Remember the woman on the bank steps that sang Feed the Birds? I love that song. And then, of course, the iconic scene with Dick Van Dyke and the penguins dancing, mixing the cartoon with the real life. So, but, it was also very tasteful and well done. So we were very honored to stay there. Stampin' Up! Really pampers us and gave us a whole bunch of gifts. When we got there, we got to, like I said, pick up our shirt. We even got to personalize it, put something on the back. So I wasn't sure what to put because I really don't want my name as I'm walking around Disney. I don't need people to know my name that I don't know, strangers, whatever. So anyway, so this is what I put. My Daisy Bunch. So why not? Oh, my ear's crooked. There we go. When we got there, we got to decorate our own ears with ribbons or little glue-on gems or something like that. And okay, thank you, Susan, for that bit of history. That's nice. Yeah. Yeah, I guess the resort, I think they started developing the coasts first, and then they started moving inland. Am I right about that? I mean, inland was hot and swampy and buggy, right? Very, who wanted that real estate in the beginning, right? The coast was probably way more pleasing, cooler and whatever, but it was just lovely. It was a lot of fun. So like I said, we got to decorate our ears. We turned in our swaps that we made 26 of. We got to put one on the display board, and then the other 25 got all mixed up and put into large Ziploc baggies, and then we got back a random bag of another 25. It was possible we might have gotten our own back because they didn't, make sure of that. That's fine. There's just too many of us, almost 400 people swapping, it's okay. So it was a lot of fun. And at the end, I'm going to share some of my swaps, and then we'll do some of them again later on. But we were welcomed when we got to our room. We were welcomed with this beautiful felt bag here that was filled to the brim with individual packages of some snacks that we got to choose when we registered for the trip. They said, what kind of snacks do you like? And they gave us a list, and we could choose, 5 or 6 different things. So chips, pretzels, nuts, granola bars, water, seltzer, sodas, check off the list, things that you like. And this bag was filled with a lot of snacks that we could munch on during the week. And what was especially nice is they said, don't worry about bringing it, packing it in your suitcase because it folds up. Just kind of comes apart and lays flat, so it was easy to put in the suitcase. And of course, it comes with a welcome card from Sarah, our CEO, welcoming us, saying it's wonderful. It's a wonderful day to celebrate you. And we truly hope you have a magical week. We can't wait to see you tomorrow at general session. So that was general session is the only kind of business thing that we had to do with, the rest was all just fun. Do whatever you want. So we had an hour and a half meeting where, although it was business, we got to learn about some new products that were coming out, which is exciting. We heard about the health of the company, which is all good. And we even got some freebies, got some free prizes. So one of the things we got was a new scrapbooking kit. I don't know how many of you are scrapbookers out there, but we did get this kit that I'm going to just flip my camera for a second, and I'll show you. Let's straighten her out. It's called Make a Memory Scrapbooking Kit, and it makes several pages. It has a lot of cards that you can keep full size or add to your pages. I didn't even open this yet, but I did open these pages, the 12 by 12 pages. Look how thick this is. Look at all these pages that you get in here. I'm not sure what it's going to sell for, but I may as well just take it all out. The sleeve we did not get. That's my own stamp and storage sleeve. But you have strips that you can cut or use them as is. Different colors. You have nice backgrounds. You have tags that punch out. They're already die cut. Places for journaling. You have another background. Those beautiful pastel colors. I love them. Okay, nice paint swishes, right? And then more of those tags. Colors. And this is all cardstock weight. It's not like DSP. Nice for backgrounds or journaling on that by itself. So these are not two-sided. Again, another background, a linen-looking background, diagonal stripes. Aren't the colors just beautiful? Like Lost Lagoon, Petal Pink. Just beautiful colors. Basic beige. This looks like the new Darling Duckling. And then you have some images you can punch out. Okay, they're not stickers, they're just die cuts. But look how pretty. I should turn it this way. Maybe we can see it all the right way. Okay, so isn't that nice? Just love it. Nice big images and some small ones. And then be careful not to tear them all apart. All right, and then another background, which is good to keep behind those that are kind of falling out very easily. And then these sentiments you can cut out, and these are die cut. So you have a lot of words. So a lot you can do with this. And then you have it in different languages. You have it in German. You have it in French. Or is it just French? Oh yeah, there we go. That's German. I thought there was German in there. German and French. So if you have German, French friends, you can scrapbook for them. Okay, I love these leaves. So pretty. These are, these are stickers. Aha. I was going to say, I don't feel the perforation in the back. So these are stickers. They do come up. All right. So that's a new scrapbooking kit that's coming out. I believe it's going to be an online exclusive in June. There was a lot of information, so I hope I got that right. But anyway, we'll keep you posted. If you're a scrapbooker, you'll love the kit. If you are not a scrapbooker but was thinking about maybe doing it, this is a good way to maybe start, because it has directions and some suggested layouts for ways that you can put your products together. Okay, and speaking of scrapbooking, one little thing you might have seen my post and other demonstrators posting that Stampin' Up! Is having a scrapbooking event. So that's really cool. It's the first time they've ever done this. It's been announced that in July, I think 13 to 18, there will be a 3-day scrapbooking event. If you buy the kit, that's going to be available May 28th. If you buy the kit, you can automatically be enrolled in the virtual event. And it's called month by month scrapbooking. So you will do 12 2-page spreads, one for each month. And it'll be a 3-day virtual event. You can catch the recording if you can't make it live. And so more information coming on that later. So good morning, everybody. Minnie Mouse has competition. You are so funny, Karen. Of course, I chose the blue, right? Chose the blue. Even our guests were able to do it. My daughter chose a coral color. My granddaughter chose pink, of course. That's one of her favorite colors. And she loved wearing it all the time. So anyway, we had a lot of fun. And so every day we got to spin a wheel and we won a prize. So I'm going to show you these really quickly. Oh, by the way, this is my swap. If I hadn't shown you that before, that's the one that I made 26 of, and other demonstrators got them. So if you watch other demonstrators online sharing their swaps, you might see my card pop up. Okay, so other demonstrators shared their swaps. I'll show you that later, but a couple other gifts that we got when I got to spin the wheel each day. It landed on a piece of the wheel and it decided which prize we got. So one of the things that I got was something that they promoted during our hour and a half general session is a new suite that's coming out. It's going to be, trying to switch the camera here. There we go. Perfectly pairs. Right? It's going to be very pretty. One of those 2-step stamping, and I love the formal looking font on there. And of course it comes with die cuts and designer paper. We just got the stamp set, so we have to buy the other stuff later, but I can show you pictures later on. Another day I earned this ephemera pack that's coming out. This is all new stuff, things that are not available at the moment. Ephemera pack of sentiments for Christmas. Okay, it's called Greetings for You in white and gold. That's very pretty. And then another day, I got a pack of 12 by 12 designer paper that is called Autumn Toile. And if you like sort of old-fashioned vintage styles, then this is for you. Let me take a sip of my tea and put it aside. Okay, so like we said, this looks like something that we would see in Colonial Williamsburg, perhaps. maybe some wallpaper or whatever. So there are 3 sheets of 4 designs. A lot of our designer paper comes in 6 designs and 2 sheets each. 2 sheets each. But so notice the reverse is this round. Okay, nice for fall or masculine cards. Here we have pheasants and a nice pattern on the back. And then there's the pumpkin patch and a nice kind of a gray, smoky slate background. That's very pretty. I think that's my favorite. Well, these are fun too, but I love that one. And then this one has foxes on it. There's a fox running around my neighborhood. Last night I saw it just walking down the sidewalk. Right down. And then the stripe pattern in the back. Like I said, it reminds me of old-fashioned wallpaper. So, and masculine cards will be super easy with that. So that's Autumn 12. That's coming out, I think, in the mini catalog in the fall. That would make sense, right? Okay, let's get to our card that we're making today, and then I'll show you some more of my swaps and gifts that I got after we're done with the card, okay? So good morning. Good morning. A lot of my friends are here today. Tina, Gloria, Susan. Hi, Janet. Hi, Karen C. Karen B. Yeah, Shirley, we had, it was huge. It was a fabulous trip. So we also got money toward meals. We got 2 days in the parks, whichever park we wanted. We had a final farewell party at the Pandora section of the Animal Kingdom. So we had the whole section to ourselves for an hour and a half. We got to ride the 2 rides that are there, and it was really a lot of fun. Okay, so thank you all for joining on, and let's get started. I am featuring today the Cheers and Sips bundle and collection, actually, because there is designer series paper that goes along with this. In fact, I am featuring this all week. I did a Zoom with a private Zoom with my select friends from New York, and then we did this card, which was based on, let me move this out of the way, you can see it better perhaps. Okay, so this card here was inspired by a card I got as a swap. This one here. Okay, this one was from Lola Wrist. Okay, I don't know Lola, but I love her card. So using the same layout, the everyday arches, and just using the Cheers and Sips, different colors, different stamp set, I mimicked her card, so I cased it, is what we say. Open it up, and this is a little gift card holder in here. So, of course, I put my Disney card in there. So, and these things are cut from the designer paper. This was stamped. So, using that Cheers and Sips stamp set, we're continuing with that theme. So that was my Monday, Mojo Monday, we call it. And then my Whip It Up Wednesday, I hope you're kind of looking in on that. If you're looking for very quick cards, that's what that series is all about. I will be making super easy cards there. Sometimes on my Fridays, we do more complicated cards or fun folds. Whip It Up Wednesday is simply that. We're going to whip it up and just do some really quick cards. For those times when you don't have a lot of time to stamp, or you don't want to think too hard, or maybe you're making a bunch of cards for a certain occasion or for charity. A lot of you do cards for troops or shut-ins or church groups. So sometimes these cards are easy, and also they're good for beginners. So these were the cards that we did on Whip It Up Wednesday, taking one piece of designer series paper, cutting it into fourths, and flipping it over so that you have those 2 different contrasting designs. So if you missed that, you can go back and find that both on Facebook and YouTube. So Whip It Up Wednesday, and then today. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to be a little more complicated this time. We'll be making a card that features some stamping and some of the designer series paper. So let me move some other things out of the way here. I'll show you the paper. So it's really fun, summery vibe where you have your cocktails or mocktails. They don't have to have alcohol. They could just be a fun, fruity drink. Make it special with your little umbrella or your fruit garnishes or herbs. Um, and you also have florals in here. So although it's called celebratory sips, you're not limited to just the drinks. So we have a page of just the garnishes. We have some florals. We have small images and then larger images. And then we have this sheet here that has these blocks of just kind of like a watercolor rectangles and squares. First I was looking at it, I said, I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I guess you can cut strips and use them as a background. But I was a little baffled. I said, I'll have to think on that and see what to do there. But then, of course, many creative demonstrators are coming up with some fabulous ideas. And then I came up with one of my own. I don't know if anybody else had done it, but I'll show you what we're going to do with that today. So one thing you can do is cut out some of these individual rectangles and squares. And which is kind of what I did. I just cut some random ones. And then, because it is kind of a rough thing anyway, you can fussy cut, or I would say cut. You don't even have to be fussy. Just kind of cut, but keeping a little bit of a rough edge to it, because otherwise you may as well just use a paper cutter to make it straight. You could do that too. But just to have some interest, you can just cut that out. And we're going to use that sort of like as a block. And then I fussy cut those little bottles and pitchers out, glued them to my squares, put the squares on my corrugated white strip, raised with dimensionals. And that's a way that you can use some of these shapes on this paper here. So I thought that was really, really cute, really sweet. That embossing folder is the mini corrugated 3D, and it really is so versatile. Great for when you want just a little bit of texture, but you don't really want it to coordinate with a particular theme, like you don't want to have flowers, you don't want something masculine looking, or this could be anything. Okay, just a very clean look when it's on white. Of course, you could use it on color as well. So this is just a 2-inch piece right here that I put those on, and I glued these on after I fussy cut. I love this sentiment down here, which is Blooming Phrases. It's an online exclusive, and it has all of these pretty little fonts, script words with a little tail going off at the end of the word. I just love those. We had a set that was sweetly scripted that had a little bit of the same design, but a bigger. But these are small and delicate. Plus, you have some delicate little images there. So I just thought that looked very sweet down there. So that's something that you can do with these. But that's not what we're making today. This, I told you about it. You know how you can understand how that gets all put together. So what we're actually going to make today is, let me put these aside because I already have some of those squares chosen already. We're going to be doing this. And I'm going to show you how I got these drinks here. Of course, you can cut them from your designer paper. Like I showed you, you have some large drinks here that you can use. And the dies that coordinate with this do cut out a lot of these. And of course, you can stamp them, but then you have to color in the drinks with your blends, which is fine, but maybe you're not so confident using your blends to do that. But these dies will cut out the glasses on this paper. Now, part of this problem would be if you're cutting the one that has the herbs or the specialty things in them, it's going to cut that off. So you really would just end up, cutting the ones without something in it. But then you can always stamp and die cut out those other images to add to your little cocktails there. You have your tumbler size, and you also have your tall glass that will cut out. Like I said, it fits any of these glasses, but I wouldn't want to cut off the olive or the celery stalk there. So I would do this, which is fine. It's all good. But then the other things you'd have to do something else with, maybe fussy cut the whole thing. And these are, to be honest, these are fairly easy to fussy cut. So you could use the die or not. One thing that's really cool about the tall glass is you have this die that just makes little slits, little cuts, but doesn't actually cut anything out into pieces. And it's made to be an insert to the glass so that it looks like one of those thick cut glass designs on the tall glass. You could maybe see that I used it here on this glass right there. So I'm going to do that again today for you, so you'll get to see that. And so what I decided to do was, like I said, I was trying to figure out how to use that paper with the rectangles on it and maybe save this for something else, large pieces. So I'm going to make the same card, but use a little bit different colors. We're going to go with Timid Tiger. I'm going to show you some hints about those garnishes too, because there were some things that kind of hit me a little funny and I wanted a workaround. So I'll explain that in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm starting with my card base of Timid Tiger, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay, typical US card size. We'll need a piece that is 5 1/4 by 4, and that's going to be for our inside. So I'll put that aside for now, and we can decorate that later. Now for my background, I have a piece of that corrugated embossing piece, like I showed you, and I'm leaving a little bit of a bigger border around here because I wanted that orange to really show through. I did the same thing here. I just wanted more of that color. I didn't want a teeny tiny border. So instead of my typical first layer size of 5 1/4 by 4, I decided to go a step lower by doing 5 inches and 3 3/4 total. But these are going to overlap. Okay, so my white piece is 1.5 by 5. And then my designer paper is 2 3/4 by 5. Now you can make it a little wider or shorter, but the idea is to make sure that they overlap. I didn't want them just butting up because this is cardstock and this is designer paper. They're slightly different thickness. Excuse me. So I wanted this to fit on the card front, but then the corrugated piece to go over it. Okay. So that it kind of gives it a little bit of dimension as well. Okay, so I'm going to glue those down. Okay, the other side of this is really cool. That's that secret C, and it has a very subtle pattern on it too. I love that. I'm really warming up to, not that I didn't like them in the first place, but I'm really warming up to these new in colors. And you know what I'm noticing? I'm noticing a lot of colors of cars are not Timid Tiger, but the cloud cover, that light grayish blue. I'm noticing, I'm looking at some cars and saying, that car looks like cloud cover. So be aware of that. Be on the lookout. Okay, now because this is corrugated, two things you want to think about. I actually carefully cut this with my swing arm or guillotine cutter after I embossed it. Usually you want to cut your piece first and then emboss, because sometimes if you're using your trimmer and you're going through something that has a pattern, embossed pattern on it, it could tear or not get a very clean cut. But I happened to embossed the whole piece and then decided I only wanted 1.5. But something to remember, because this is now adding that wave, once you emboss your piece of paper, this was originally this was originally 4.25 wide, but when it's embossed with this wave, it's going to shrink. So if you want a specific measurement, for this, it doesn't matter a whole lot if it's 1.5, 1.75, or whatever, an eighth difference, because it's overlapping. But if you need a specific measurement, then take that into consideration, because adding that weave is going to make the paper a little bit smaller. So once this was embossed, instead of 4.25, now it's actually closer to 4. All right. So, and if you do need to cut it after you emboss, use more of a swing arm cutter, because it gives a cleaner cut straight down rather than sliding up. And also, I can cut it without pressing down with the guard. You know what I mean? So anyway, just some little helpful tips there. All right, so I'm going to overlap this and put that there, just because this is so busy, and if I didn't want too much of it, so I just decided to use some white on here too. Now, again, you want to make sure that you are getting glue on the parts that are raised on here and not just in the valleys of the back, so to speak. Okay, there we go. And I think I could take my Band-Aid off of my thumb. I actually had a split nail that I was afraid was going to get caught on my bedding while I slept, so I put a Band-Aid on. Okay, so there we go. I also am using, I'm so glad this carried over to the online exclusives, the Spotlight on Nature dies and the stamp set. Used to be in the catalog, but it's on the online exclusives now. I love these dies. So I'm using the this one here, the second biggest, with this dash and dot pattern to it. So I already die cut that, and that's what we're going to build our drinks on. So we will take these, and I'm going to actually stamp my cups, my glasses, on here. Now, obviously, this is thinner, but it's okay, because I'm going to stamp it so that this, or maybe I should make this, the top of my drink. Now, it might be a little hard to see the outline here, but I'm going to stamp it so it looks like it's mostly full, but I can still see the top of the drink there. And I'll do that in smoky slate, because on the paper, the designer paper, that kind of looks like what it is. Okay, very pale, smoky slate. Look for that outline. So like I said, this is just another way of using these squares. And then you can choose whatever color drink you want. And you can build your own. Okay, so that's that. Of course, we're going to run through the die cutting machine, and then I might do some extra trimming, because I don't want my drink outside of the glass. That would be a little weird, right? That would mean it's time to stop drinking. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do the same with the tumbler type glass. This one's really full. Oops, I goofed. I went off the paper. Anyway, let me I'll just cut another piece here. I like that orange piece. I'm going to try that again. There is plenty of room if I cut up here, and I want to make sure I leave a little extra room this time. So I like this orangey color. Yeah, I'm going to make sure I leave a little more room there. The bottom doesn't matter. Sides don't matter so much because the glass is more narrow than that coloring on there. Anyway, so let's try this one more time. It's hard to see when I have the camera overhead. And I love how, there we go, that looks good. I love how you have even some little specks of white in there because that kind of looks like the shine on the glass. So we'll close that up. And we're going to die cut those out. I'll put that on there like that. Secure it with a little bit of washi tape. Run it through my machine. I have my mini here. Makes it easy. Keep handy. I'm going to put a little bit on an angle so that the corner goes in first. Makes it a little easier for it to go through the ringer. Kind of eases its way in. And carefully pull the washi off. And there we have our cute little cup in the color drink that I want. Looks like, what's that drink called? Tequila Sunrise or something like that, right? Okay, now let's do the big one. Now you could do this all at the same time or you can do it separately. I want to get that pattern on the glass. This one looks like a nice, tall, refreshing lemonade, doesn't it? I'm lining up the frame for the glass. Then I can put this in at the same time. So let me just make sure my glass is lined up first. And then put that pattern in the middle. And I'm going to cover that up. Woo-hoo. Don't move it, Lorraine. Okay. This set is just so much fun once you start playing with it. Okay, again, I'm going to put it a little bit on an angle so the point goes first. Remember to flip your plates over every time or two. And that will keep them from warping. Eventually they'll warp a little bit and they'll get very etched. That's going to be your main problem. This one is very well used. But when it stops cutting cleanly, then I know it's time to change. Or if I'm doing embossing and those etches are coming out on my paper, then it's time to at least not use it for embossing anymore. Okay, wait till you see this. Oh, I'll move this aside. I will come back to that in a little bit. We have to die cut some garnishes. Okay, can you see that pattern on there? Okay, it looks like an old-fashioned cut glass. I just love that. Looks scrumptious too, doesn't it? Nice and refreshing. Although today these few days we're having extremely cool weather. I'm glad it's not too hot. Now I do want to do a little extra trimming because I want to trim this closer to the gray line, which is pretty easy to do. Okay, if it shows a little bit, that's okay. Not a big problem. Same thing with my tumbler glass. like I said, yeah, you can just cut these from the images on the designer paper, but when you run out of those, you can go to this. I wanted to show you this method. Or if you want a different drink, you don't want an orange drink, you want a purple drink or a pink drink. You have your options. Okay, so that's a great start. We're going to build this onto our circle. And now we need our garnishes. So we will stamp. I want a lime on here. So I will. Oh, one other thing I want to show you before I do that. This set also has ice cubes. Little ice cubes there you can stamp in there. And I'm actually going to do that in Whisper White because when I was looking at, again, the designer paper, that's what it looked like. They were done in white. Okay? Or I've done it with stamping off and doing it in a light gray. That kind of works too. But I said, well, I'm doing the white, see how that works. And I liked it. It's very subtle. And it worked out nicely. We want this nice and cool, nice cool drink. Okay, so subtle, but it's there. You can definitely tell it's there. Just makes a little bit of a difference, steps it up a little bit. Okay, now let's do our lime. And we're going to put, since I put that kind of mint on the other one, I'm going to do, maybe I'll do the mint again. I think that might go good in lemonade. Oh, I don't know, whatever. Okay, so let's get the lime. I'm going to stamp that in Smoky Slate as well. And then color it in with blends. Oh, I don't like how that came out. Good thing there's two sides to the paper. Okay. Come out with an Americana sweet. I think people, yes, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, or something with different ethnics or cultures or whatever. Yeah, that could be nice. All right, and then my yeah, let's do the mint leaf. Okay, I'm going to show you what I did with the rosemary. I have a sample of that after, so we'll do the mint leaf in the yellow drink. And I'm going to stamp that in garden green. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do as far as coloring it. I'm going to take my blender pen. This just has clear liquid in it. It has two sides, same kind of a tip, but it's just a clear liquid that will help blend some of the colors. So because our ink pad is water-based ink, it will smear when it gets wet. So using my blender pen allows me to pull some of that color, just a little bit, from the veins and the edges into the empty areas of that image to get a little hint of color there. And I think that's just enough. Okay, when you're done, just wipe the blender pen until it runs clear on your scrap paper, cover it up, and it's good to go. I've had this one for a very long time and it hasn't dried out. It's very good. Let's color this in with, of course, lemon lime twist. How could you not use lemon lime twist? I'm going to start with the light and color the whole thing. Then I'll go over with the dark and add those extra highlights. Now, on a lime, the inside is definitely much lighter than the outside, right? Lemon, it's about the same. Okay, so the dark, go around the outside. And a little bit in between the wedges, the sections. A little bit in the middle, some little dots. Okay, done. Voila. Let's run that through with the embossing. Now, one thing that I really liked about this lime, I looked at it and said, oh, it's not a perfect circle. It's a little tiny bit pointed over here. So when you line up your die, you'll want to look for the side that is slightly pointed because fruit isn't perfectly round, right? So it makes it look a little bit more natural. Okay, let me get my washi. Hold that in place. We'll get the die for this. And get that in there. Now, when I saw some other cards made with this, it bothered me a little bit that when they put their garnishes in, they were either behind the glass or over the glass, where it should be a little of each, right? It should have, you should be able to see the garnish through the glass, even here, not just behind it like this. Sometimes people would do this, but just it bothered me that we didn't see the rest of the garnish through here. So I'm going to show you what I did to solve that. Let's just run this through and be ready to go. Okay, I lost the top to my go. I lost my other clear plate. It's clear and I can't find it. That's really funny. Did it fold four? Okay, well, excuse me 1 second while I go just use my big machine that's over there. I'll be right back. Excuse me. Okay, here I am. Well, that's really weird. How could you lose a whole plate? Well, it's in the bag somewhere. Oh, well. So now we have our lime and we have our little mint, right? Carefully pull that off. There we go. All right, so if I wanted to put my lime on this drink, I could do it this way. It's really cute if you want to put a slit in the slice of the fruit and have it hang in the glass, right? Let me show you what that looks like. Okay, because often that's how you would get a drink. I cut a little slit and I'm putting that there. I'm going to go right into the middle there, a little bit past the middle so it actually hangs at the middle. But now look what I mean here. See if, okay, that looks cute, but if this were really hanging on your glass, you would see that lime through the glass at this point too. You know what I mean? Okay, so maybe that doesn't bother everybody, but for some reason, I just, once you get something stuck in your head that it was, a little off, then you kind of, you can't unsee it. You know what I mean? Can't unsee it. So this was my fix for that. I took the lime again, stamping it in the smoky slate. And I'm going to stamp it right on the glass here where this is going to cover. But when this slips behind, I'm going to still be able to see some of that through the glass, but still see the line on the top of the glass. Does that make sense? Let me show you. Okay, if I wanted to, I could even do this maybe stamped off, maybe. I'm going to color it in anyway, so not a big deal. But I don't know, for some reason, it just looked better to me. Let me see how this is going to hang so I can get it about the same spot. So I will put it about there. Okay, so that's going to be the part that I see as inside the glass. And we're going to add a little color to that as well. Use my lemon lime twist again. And I'll leave that a little bit lighter because through the glass it might look a little lighter. And then when I put this on, I can still see the top of the glass. I can see the line on the top of the glass. And then I can also pop this up a little bit with some glue dots so that it looks more three-dimensional there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this part here. That's going in the back. I'm going to line this up. That's an awfully big line for that glass, I know. It's okay, it's fun. It's fun. And then, because I want this to look a little bit more 3D, like it's being popped up, I'm going to take 2 glue dots because a dimensional would be a little too much. So I'm going to use 2 glue dots for just a little bit of height there. So I'll take 1 and then just layer another one there. I'm going to slip it underneath, and that's going to give just a little bit more dimension and also hold it in place. Okay, so I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera, but I think it looks good. It looks better than being flat. Okay, so now let's deal with this. Okay, this die cut was a little bit off, so I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit, even it out a little. Okay, so same thing here. I didn't want it just over, okay, because it's supposed to look like it's inside. And again, if I put it behind, it's not showing through the glass. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my garden green marker and I'm going to draw those stems right in there. Okay, yeah, blender pens, right? We forget about those, Nadine. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw it so that my leaf is hanging over the top of the glass there a little bit. But then I'm going to just draw those stems to come down into the glass a little bit. And then I think that looks better. So if you notice, that's what I did on these as well. I did that with the lemon, and I did the same thing with the lime, with the mint. So actually what I did here, and I forgot to do it here, is I didn't draw it over the lip here. I did leave that plain. But anyway, it's there. Sometimes you can see through the lip, but at least I think that looks a little bit better that way. And then I can glue that down. I'm actually going to use a little bit of this seal so I'm not messy with the liquid glue right now. And I'm just going to line up. Okay, I don't have a whole lot back there to hold on to, unfortunately. But when I glue it down onto my circle, which I'm going to do right now, it will be fine. Okay. So because this glass has those little slits in the design, I would be careful not to put too much glue on the back. You don't want it seeping through those little holes. Okay, there we go. And then this, of course, dimensionals. Got to be topped up with dimensions. One behind the fruit. And I'll put 4. When it's not cardstock, when you're just popping up designer paper, I like to make sure it's going to be very secure. Okay. Come on. There we go. If you're really worried about it, you can attach your designer paper to plain white cardstock to give it more strength. But we'll do that. Okay, look at that. Who's going to join me for a nice summer drink? Will you come? Which drink do you want? The yellow one or the orange one? You get your pick. When you come to the Sish household, you have to make some choices because I offer you a lot of different choices. All right. I also did a little strawberry on the other card. So let me do that real quick. Stamp that and we'll die cut it. There's my strawberry. Is it back in the case? Yep, here it is. Okay. So yeah, this card is one of those that takes a little bit more work, but it is definitely worth it. I'm going to stamp this in black and then color it in. Strawberry Slush, of course. There's a bunch of pens coming in 2 shades. I'm just going to use the lighter one first and then add a couple little highlights. Hopefully it's nice and easy to color. I add a little bit of shadowing, maybe up at the top, and a little bit down here below. Okay, and then a touch of, where did I put my other color away? All right, I'm going to use the Stampin' Right marker. That will do just fine. Love that fine tip. Okay. Okay, speaking about the Daisy Bunch, there is only about a week left to take advantage of joining as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and becoming part of my team. We have a lot of fun. I have some of my Daisy Bunch gals on the watching right now, and hopefully they can attest to the benefits of being a demonstrator. So let me just go and run this again one more time. Okay, I found my other plate, by the way. How it got way over there, I don't know. Maybe that was an extra one. Anyway, so the starter kit special is $100 $265 worth of product. You get to choose and pay only $99 plus tax, but you don't have to pay shipping on the starter kit. So that's fabulous. So that's an extra $66 of product that you can get. So if you have an order that is $99 or more, consider joining. Okay. The minimum for each quarter that you have to spend is not very high. You do not have to be a business person. You can just be a hobbyist. Most of my team members are. And you get a discount. You get a 20% discount on all your orders. And if you do get customers, you get 20% commission on that. You can bump them to 25% along the way too, as you promote. So consider doing that. It's definitely, when I see some of my customers spending a lot of money, I'm like, oh, if they had only joined, they'd be saving 20% on all their future orders. Plus, you get, I don't like how that came out. Plus, you get your own rewards too. You know how as customers you get 10% rewards? Well, demonstrators get that as well. Plus, you get to order things early. You get to be part of some exclusive Facebook groups and events, and just be part of our team, and just be part of a special circle of Stampin' friends. Okay, so I'm doing this in basic gray, keeping with the gray tones rather than black. I'm going to go cheers to you. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to banner cut that. Well, angle cut it, banner, whatever. I'm going to do that. The other one I cut both sides. This one I'm just going to do the one side, and then I will mount that on black. So this white is about 1/2 inch. The black is about 3/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to mount that there. And then mimic the cut. Just a little edge, just so that can be set off from the rest of the white. And I love how it overlaps the glass a little bit. Before I do that, I'm going to take a little wink of Stella, which is our glitter pen that is just mildly glittery. And I'm going to put just a little dot in the center of each of those little starbursts on that glass, because a real cut glass would kind of show little glistening in there. And of course, I'm going to put some on the inside of the lime. And then I'm going to put just a little bit, like a little shine on the glass there. Okay. Oops, suspected spam. Imagine that. Oh, and again, I'm so sorry. Okay. They didn't get me the first time. I tried right away again, right? Okay. So we're going to glue this big circle down. We are almost done here, guys. I did a lot of talking. This card would go quicker if I didn't have to explain all the little things, but that's what you're here for, I think, to learn, right? So then I'm going to put black dimensionals on the back of this. I like to use my pick tool for this. Pick them up nice and easy. I think I told you I ran out of the big ones, so I'm so tempted to order more so I get the big ones. But I said, no, I have so many of the little ones. I am trying to be good and say I have to use up at least half of the minis that I have. You like that set, Nadine? It's on your wish list. Wow. Okay. You guys have a nice Memorial Day too. Thanks for tuning in, Nadine. All right. So we're going to put this over here, overlapping a little bit like that. And I just love gingham ribbon, tying in a little bit of that black, even though this is vanilla and black checked. I think it still will work here. On this one, I actually used an older ribbon, which is thinner and actually white. So this is retired, no longer available. But I was just making my sample. Let me show you my bunny ear technique. Make a loop on both sides, but the trick is, the key is, you want to leave a little bit of space in between here so that it gives you room to crisscross and poke that other loop through. Now you're going to have some big bow, but you can adjust it and kind of play with it to the size that you want. Remember, when you pull it, it's going to get just that little bit bigger, but you can keep adjusting it. Okay, I'm going to put that little bit there. I think it's very sweet. I wish I could invite you all to come over and have a nice cool drink this Memorial Day weekend. That would be a fun party, right? And we're going to put that on with my glue dots. And our card is done. Again, featuring this cute, cute set. So this could be part of your starter kit. Some people even get the stamp and emboss machine. That, for your amount, you could get that free when you join as a demonstrator. And then you get 20% off all your future orders. So super, super. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I will offer some Q&A time during the week. So think of your questions and reach out, and I will be happy to answer them about being a demonstrator on the team. Just let me show you also. Here's what I did with that little rosemary sprig. Again, I stamped onto the glass and I put this piece behind, and I would just line it up so that way you see the edge of the glass there. Okay, so it looks like it's in the glass. So that's just a lot of fun stuff there. I hope you like those cards. There's the strawberry slush. There's the timid tiger. And then here's another way to use those squares and rectangles. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through some of the comments because I wasn't watching very closely. Shirley, I'm glad you liked the card. I want to make sure I answer. I'm so glad you showed that fix because that would have bothered me too. Okay. All right, Shirley. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yes, use a blender pen to spread some of the color when you want just some light shading. That's good. Hi, Michelle. Minnie Nap. Yeah, well, I didn't wear it at all at Disney, so I figured, okay, I'll wear it today. Why not? Why not? And I just love the shirt too. Hi, Lydia. That's okay. We went a little late today anyway. American Sweet. Yeah. Okay. So good morning, everybody. I just want to show you a couple of my swaps, and I'll be showing you some more later. But speaking of Minnie, my friend Deborah, and she's my roomie when I go to conferences, gave me this from the Notes and Totes collection. She made a little Minnie Mouse bag filled with some jelly beans. This is such cute dies. She didn't put the bottom together, didn't tape the bottom together because she wanted to bring it to me flat, so easier for packing. But you could put this on a card and have it pop up, open a little bit, or you can make an actual 3D treat holder out of it. So that's the Notes and Totes. That's really cute. And so here's where somebody did it on a card and stuck a little bit of a piece of chocolate in there. So that's Rose Ward. Love that. And then here's the other Notes and Totes where you had a square tote, more like a grocery bag. You have, she actually made some mini ears from the handle. She cut off the ends there and put some hearts to look like the mini ears, the hearts from the glasses. And then you have a scarf, you have a water bottle. Really, really cute. And then other cards that have some detailed die cutting. I'm just going to show you the next few here, and we'll do more the next time. This is adorable, right? The little raccoons coming out of the trunk there. And this is from Kathy Morgan. I didn't say who this one was from. This is Angela Waters. I don't know all these people. but some I do, but not all of them. And then this has this beautiful corners sentiments here. This was torn to look kind of rustic along the ends, and then look inside. You have the cute little raccoon in there too. And this is one that has the turtle all die cut playing the banjo. Very cute. That was Judy Tuttle. Okay, Tuttle up with the turtle. Very cute there. These are adorable. Popcorn. This is on the online exclusives. You have all these cute little popcorn kernels with the faces in there. You have your iconic little popcorn carton, and you can even put little glasses on him, and you have some film strip pieces there too. And so here, there's that corrugated paper there, that embossing as well. So this was Belle Harder, and this one was from Stella McKay. And then here's one more that used the, that circle, oh, okay, Round We Go, I think it's called, made to look again like a Disney theme. So that was just adorable too. Even the rhinestones, look what she did down here, with 3 rhinestones and kind of the Disney face. This was Tracy Travis. All right. So anyway, so there are some that use a lot of die cutting, kind of like what I did today. So I'll show you more next time. Have a great weekend. If you're celebrating Memorial Day, have fun, be safe, and we'll see you next time. Tune in to Whip It Up Wednesday if you can. That's pre-recorded, so that's not a live. You can catch that anytime, and you can see it here on Facebook or there on YouTube. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and we'll talk to you back again soon. Okay. Bye now.